listening to the Arrowfans UK episode review podcast. During this podcast, we're going to be talking about episode 19, The Man Under the Hood, as well as discussing different reactions to Oliver's Secret. You can get in touch with us via Facebook, Twitter, or email to give your thoughts. But for now, sit back and enjoy the podcast. Hello, welcome back. You are listening to the Arrowfans UK episode review podcast. I'm your host, Bradley. I'm joined as usual by Corey. Hello, Corey.
Hello, everyone.
We are going to be talking about episode 19, The Man Under the Hood, and the topic of Oliver's Secret and people's reactions to it, but we will come to that later on. For the moment, we'll just talk about some of our thoughts on the episode as a whole. So Corey, what did you think?
I thought it probably matched the quality of last week's episode. We had some good moments, and I think for one of the first times, a lot of the different story strands we had, I think they're all quite satisfying and all quite engaging. Sometimes I've found in particular episodes you've had different storylines, and some of them I just couldn't really be bothered with, and I kind of just want to, fast forward through them and get to something else. But this week, I think everything kept me engaged pretty much.
Yes, having an interesting Laurel storyline helps.
Definitely.
No, I'd agree there. This was the first episode since, I think, 3 Ghosts that's had a lot of different storylines for almost all the characters, and I've enjoyed them all.
Yeah.
So that's always a bonus, because if you've just got one storyline that's enjoyable and the rest are just boring, you're never going to get a good episode, as we saw in Blind Spot.
Yes.
But yeah, it satisfied on most levels. I liked Quentin's reaction to Laurel saying that she knew who the Arrow was, but we will come on to that a bit later. We actually got a fight scene between Oliver and Slade.
Yep, that was it's worth the wait, I'd say, probably.
Yep. We thought that we got rid of Isabel, and then we hadn't.
No.
I wonder quite why Slade tried. I mean, he could have just easily just said, "Oh, well, Isabel's dead. Never mind." I hope they kind of give explanations to why he saved her.
Yeah. I don't know, I guess perhaps it could be something to do with continuing to ruin the Queen family, through the company perhaps. But like you say, hopefully we'll get an explanation on that one.
Yes. Roy returned.
Yep.
In a very interesting way. And Felicity added a special skill to her resume.
Yeah.
that was funny. But yeah, I thought it was a good episode. The stunts, the fight sequences were good. Everything just came together quite well.
Yeah, I'd echo that pretty much.
Yes. Alright then. So we're going to go on and talk about Oliver's Secret and people's reactions to it more specifically. Last week we talked about secrets in general in Starling City and how easily they emerge and are revealed and stuff like that. So this week we're actually going to talk about the different reactions to them. Again, particularly Oliver's, because we saw a couple of different ones in this episode. And we've seen many other different ones throughout the course of the 2 seasons. Obviously, in this episode, Laurel was investigating to see whether Slade was telling the truth about Oliver. And she eventually came to the conclusion that he was, and that Sarah was the canary, which has been a long time coming.
Yep.
That Birds of Prey episode would have been a whole lot better. A whole lot easier to watch if she'd known. And then Quentin, we learned about his reaction to it. And I think that was actually the best reaction, because had Quentin known all along, it sort of puts him into more trouble because he hasn't told them, and obviously he is a criminal. But if he doesn't know, then we've said it before, he doesn't deserve his detective shield back.
Yes.
So not knowing because he doesn't want to know is actually is a valid point.
Yeah, and like you say, obviously went into his reasons for that, and it just worked. I think I just think they dealt with it really well.
Yeah, and it felt like a good way of going to Laurel and basically telling her not to admit that she knows, because it doesn't really matter that much.
Yeah.
But obviously these aren't the only reactions that we've had across the seasons. I draw a lot of attention to Tommy, actually.
Yeah.
Obviously he found out and died a few episodes later. But when he did find out, it was one of those situations where, had he not found out, his father would have died. You know, those casual situations you get in the middle of a day. But I thought that Tommy's reaction to it was sort of a little bit, I don't know, it was a little bit weird, because obviously Oliver revealing his identity obviously made Malcolm survive. But then he got angry at Oliver for it. And I don't think at any point there was a real, okay, fair enough, you were there to help my father, that's great of you. There was no real feel of that. It was just sort of you're the Arrow, you're a killer, you're a murderer, I don't like you.
Yeah, there was no sort of, I guess you say there's no sort of reflection from Tommy on what Oliver had actually done, I guess, saving his father.
Yeah, he just looked at the complete negative side of it, that he's a murderer.
Yes.
And I think on some level that's fair enough, that's a kind of a natural reaction, because at that point he still is, but he really was then. But it seemed a little bit weird for someone that close to Oliver, like his best friend, suddenly, oh, I hate you, I wish you would have died on that island.
Yeah.
It's a little bit over the top. Someone who reacted in a similar way was Diggle.
Yeah.
And again, it was after an act of kindness from Oliver, saving Diggle's life.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a trend of ungratefulness going there.
Yeah, I think it was, he saved his life, and as soon as Diggle woke up, he tried to strangle him.
Yeah.
Now, what kind of thanks for saving your life is that?
Very true.
But he quickly came around, obviously, once Oliver revealed to him that Deadshot had killed his brother, and Oliver took down Deadshot.
Yep.
And now he's part of Team Arrow. So, Felicity found out with her boss shot and bleeding in her car, and reacted quite well to it.
Yep, and I think there was a kind of relief on my part that she did find out, because, my God, Oliver's excuses were getting worse and worse with that whole one.
Yes, we've got an energy drink in a syringe. I ran out of sports bottles. Yeah. I was glad that she knew. It would be worse than Lance not knowing, if he wanted to know.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of excuses. So yeah, she was quite happy about it. Roy didn't really react that much, did he?
No, not really. I guess perhaps unlike the others, he'd sort of had some interaction with the Arrow already, kind of taken him under his wing, got him working with him to a degree. I don't know, perhaps that softened it a bit. I mean, it's still a big thing, but yeah, it didn't really seem that sort of daunted by it, I guess.
No, especially considering we'd had most of the season with Roy all thinking, the Arrow is my hero. I need to meet him. Well, you've met him and now you hadn't really reacted.
Yeah.
Fair enough, okay. It just seems a little bit weird.
Yeah.
Who else has found out about it since that didn't know before? I will bring up a list here, hang on. Barry Allen, I suppose you could talk about. He wasn't really... I can't remember, was he shocked or was he just not bothered?
Well, I think... I don't know, because it kind of was at the end of the episode, wasn't it, that the reveal kind of was, and then next time we started with him saving Oliver's life. I guess you could look at it in some ways. The reaction could depend on the situation it's in. Diggle's reaction, I mean, he just saved his life. It's kind of relaxed environment, I guess. Felicity, I guess, Oliver had just been shot. She kind of just had to get on with it. Tommy, he had to kind of get on with it a bit with his father. Roy, I guess, also too. He had to, they had to stop the earthquake device going off.
Yeah, I mean, instantaneously, I don't expect a sort of either, oh, brilliant, you're the Arrow, or, oh my god, you're the Arrow. I do expect it at some point.
Yes.
Especially for those people that know Oliver, that have known Oliver for ages. So, like, I suppose Roy has, not really, but you still expect some sort of shock on that level because of the way he idolises the Arrow.
I suppose really of the ones that have, well, yeah, I was going to sort of say, perhaps it could depend on how long they've known him, potentially, because I was just thinking about Tommy's reaction. There's a lot more anger there, perhaps, of not knowing and of what he was doing, and whereas you've got Diggle and Felicity, he kind of took it more in their stride.
Yeah, Tommy was quite annoyed about the fact that Oliver had been keeping it from him, rather than that he was the Arrow.
Yeah.
And then he came into the whole, you're a murderer thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely looking at that. I don't know, I mean, I think it's interesting to see the kind of wide range of reactions from different characters. Yeah. What kind of reaction do you think Lance would have if he was to find out? I mean, I know doesn't want to, but if he was to.
I don't know. I think it could be a mixture of like positivity and negativity, because we've seen he's kind of made his peace with Oliver a few episodes back. Obviously, he kind of sees the Arrow differently now. I can see definitely, him not. He's not obviously going to go and dob him in, I don't think. I mean, I think he'd be okay with it, but I could see him kind of trying to get him to perhaps, get Sarah to back off, for example, keep her out of trouble a little more or something, maybe.
Well, Sarah's sort of been in trouble all season.
That's true.
I mean, he hasn't really said anything. I mean, she threw a guy out of a window a couple of episodes back. So, yes. I think the different reactions are useful because, it kind of tells us how, I don't know, the connection between them, like, people that are close to Oliver. So you look at Tommy, you look at it as they've actually had this great friendship for basically their entire life, and suddenly it's ruined by this fact. And it certainly looks at what Lance said in this episode about, you know, his family, what he has to go through, that kind of thing. Obviously, the impact it has on Oliver is actually significant.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually.
One person we didn't talk about there was Malcolm finding out. And that was an interesting one. Because obviously he knows Oliver and the Queen family for basically most of his life. And obviously his son is Oliver's best friend. And Malcolm wants to kill the Arrow because he could stop his plan. So finding out that Oliver was the Arrow kind of made things difficult for him, didn't it?
Yeah, there was, because once he found out who he was, you saw him go, oh no. I mean, it was an interesting reaction, actually. Especially how it evolved, I guess, because I think we talked about it last time. You know, by the end of the episode, he was quite happy to kill him anyway.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he ended up killing his own son, to be fair.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, definitely, by the end, he wasn't too bothered. Yeah. Not quite sure what else to say now on that.
I don't know, I guess another question to pose is kind of, once they find out, aside from their reactions, like, the type of impact it has on their lives, because, sort of looking back on it, Tommy's the only one to go by, really. I'd say Tommy's probably been the most negative reaction, really. Well, yeah, he has. But
Yes.
I thought it was quite interesting that he seemed to have the negative reaction when he wasn't really involved with the, Team Arrow and stuff. And the ones who found out, like Diggle, Felicity, Roy, even though perhaps in the case of Diggle, the reaction at first was quite negative, they've come to see it quite positively in the end due to working with Oliver and seeing what he's doing. And I don't know, perhaps if Tommy had reflected on it a little more, seen what he's doing, maybe he'd kind of come around a little bit more positively or something.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's one of those, obviously if they didn't sort of appreciate the fact that Oliver was the Arrow, they wouldn't be part of Team Arrow.
Well, true.
But, yeah, I see what you're saying there. And actually, learning Oliver's secret and sort of being annoyed at Oliver kind of led to his death.
That's
because
true,
obviously, him finding out about Oliver made him annoyed at Oliver, which led to him quitting the club.
Yep.
And going to work for his father. And then, and he didn't listen to Oliver because he didn't like him anymore. About the warnings and about whatever. So, actually, finding out that Oliver was the Arrow, although finding out meant that if he hadn't found out, then none of the following bits would have happened. He wouldn't have been able to warn him about Malcolm. But if he hadn't found out about the Arrow, Tommy probably wouldn't have died.
That is true, actually. It kind of, like you say, kind of sparked a chain of events, really.
I can't wait till Laurel finds that out, or realises that and thinks, oh look, I have another reason to hate the Arrow. And all of that. Yes, that would not be good.
No.
But yeah. Roy, I suppose, has had a sort of a mixed reaction, though, hasn't he? I mean, at first there was kind of no reaction, but now...
It's in a strange way, I guess, what I was saying about if you're closer to him, you kind of see it more positively. It's almost the opposite with Roy. He kind of idolised the Arrow before finding out who he was and getting deeper into that. But since he's got involved in Team Arrow, he's kind of grown more frustrated and obviously now left. And like you say, his reaction's kind of gone the other way, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think it needed that, actually. The story needed that to say, look, Oliver isn't just, the king of everything. He isn't always right. And you need someone close to him doubting it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's about it, really, for that.
Yeah, I think we've covered it pretty well.
Yeah, so we'll move on. Okay, so we'll talk about some odds and ends from this episode. We learned about Isabel and why she doesn't like Oliver.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was a fairly decent twist, I guess. Sort of part of me feels as a little cliche, but I'm guessing Slade might have got in her head a little bit and kind of manipulated her into, really wanting revenge, perhaps, or something.
Perhaps he said that it was Oliver's fault.
Perhaps.
that Robert left her, and then it was Oliver's fault that Robert died on the boat.
You never know.
Yes, maybe. Kinyazev was good as usual.
Yeah, he always seems to come out with various bits of gold.
I enjoyed his idea of torturing him.
Yes.
Torturing Ivo. That would have been quite interesting. Thea wasn't too happy.
No. I was kind of pleased in the sense that she kind of kept it up, rather than just like brushing it all under the carpet and being like, it's fine. Because to be fair to her, I think everybody's been lying to her really, and you're probably not going to forgive people too easy after that. And I guess Oliver now is really seeing the consequences of everything he's done, and Slade's just putting it all together, I guess.
Yes. It was good that she brought up the idea that she tried to kiss Tommy.
Yeah.
Yes, I think we discussed that even before it was revealed that Malcolm was Thea's father. That's a bit of an awkward scene.
Just a tad, yes.
Yes. But yeah, I liked how she just sort of kept it up. Unlike Laurel, who just has one shouting match with Oliver, and then suddenly, oh no, it's all fine, I forgive you, Sarah.
Yes, she's quite an inconsistent character, to say the least.
Yes, but at least Thea isn't.
Yep.
Slade breaking in to the Arrow Cave was interesting.
Yeah, no idea how he managed to get in there. Especially, I really don't know. Oliver did say he got a secret entrance, didn't he?
Yeah, he has some sort of secret entrance to the club.
Yeah, because I was thinking if Slade just came through the club floor in the Deathstroke gear, that might have been a little suspicious.
Yes. But obviously he wasn't. He was there to steal that skeleton key rather than kill them. Although he probably could have killed them if he wanted, because in terms of trying to put up a fight against Slade, they did awful. They did appallingly well.
Yeah, I mean, that was over in about a minute, and it basically floored all three of them.
Yeah, I couldn't quite understand why Diggle decided that it would be a good idea to turn off the lights. I didn't see the significance or the point of that.
No, me neither, really. And, yeah, also trying to, well, trying to smack him on the mask and all that. I don't know. Diggle just...
Why didn't he just
Mm?
shoot him in the face?
Yeah, I would have thought, or shoot him in his eye hole, perhaps. Get the other eye.
Yeah. Then he wouldn't be able to see. He'd probably still beat them in a fight.
Yeah, probably.
What else happened? Oh, we had the appearance of the Flash characters.
Yeah, they were alright, but, I don't know, it didn't really mean that much to me. Perhaps it, for Flash fans it might, but, yeah.
I didn't feel like it seemed a little bit pointless. I mean, I know obviously Mark Guggenheim and the writers and whatever would have wanted to get the Flash characters in, since they're not doing the backdoor pilot anymore.
Yeah.
But, and I mean, obviously it's a good way to get kind of Felicity to go, here's this, I need something to cure it, and to check in on Barry as well. But, in terms of, they could have just had some sort of random characters.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like it was significant that the Flash characters came on.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah. I'm not quite sure what else there is.
I'd just say I think the Deathstroke scenes were very good in this episode. What was it when he was going after the Flash characters? He said something like the longer the chase, the slower the kill, or something.
Yeah, that was quite good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ivo got killed as well on the island.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah. He outlived his usefulness episodes ago.
Yeah, he was kind of no real point keeping him around, I guess.
Yes. Now that we know that there's a cure exists. It's interesting that Oliver then got to kind of prevent Sarah from doing it, because, the whole, once you kill someone, you never come back from it.
Yeah.
And then, what was her profession?
Yeah.
After the island?
Yeah, assassin.
Yes, precisely. Yes, okay. So we'll look ahead to next week's episode. It's called Seeing Red. I'll read the press release. Roy spins out of control. The Mirakuru sends Roy into an uncontrollable rage, and he unleashes on the city. After Roy's deadly fight with the police officer, Oliver realizes the Mirakuru has been taken over Roy completely and must figure out a way to stop him. Things get more complicated after Sarah declares Roy is too far gone and that the only way to stop him is to kill him. Thea believes she can break through to Roy, so she goes on camera at Moira's campaign to lure him to Verdant. Her ploy works, but after Roy attacks Thea, Team Arrow unleashes on him. Sounds like an interesting episode.
Yeah, and clearly quite a big episode for Roy as well. I probably see it as a turning point. It's either going to decide, if they're going to get him back inside or if he is too far gone. And yeah, I guess, I don't know if they can perhaps get him back under control. Maybe there's some hope they can do that for Slade. I don't know.
Yeah, that or they could have the cure produced really fast and cure him.
Well, yep, there's that too.
But yeah, I mean, this could be an interesting one to see how they deal with it, because obviously he is a part of Team Arrow, albeit a new one. He does have the Mirakuru in him, and he is close to Thea. Obviously, it's Oliver's sister. So, this is I don't think Slade's going to be appearing. If he does, it's probably not needed.
No. I guess it's almost one of those episodes that's another distraction for Team Arrow and just gives Slade time to get his plan together. And I'm guessing get his strength up again, because I'm pretty sure he gave his blood in the end to produce his army.
Yeah, he did
Yeah.
to Isabel and whatever. Yeah. Yeah. Should be quite an interesting episode. What do you reckon? Will Roy get killed or not?
I'm guessing. I think I'd be surprised if he did, because they seem to be wanting to take him down the route of becoming Arsenal. So I'd be surprised, but you never know with Arrow. You know, they throw in twists here and there. So
Yeah. Obviously Sarah wanting to kill Roy is interesting. I mean, Oliver did say this week that he had the opportunity to cure Slade and decided to try and kill him instead.
yeah.
Sarah could implement that idea.
Yep, that's true. Actually, yeah.
Yes. Okay then. Well, unless you have any more thoughts on this episode.
No, I haven't got any more. Have you?
Nope. I'm quite happy with it. Yes. Okay. Well, we hope you've all enjoyed this podcast, and we will see you next week.